welcome to Monkey's World. This is our wrestling video. We will get a genealogy video in, I promise. What I'd like to do is play sort of a word association game with myself. I'm going to say a wrestler that pops into my head and tell you what I think of them. Roddy Piper. I love Roddy. I was lucky enough to speak with him, lucky enough to have his autograph picture. I wish I could have met him in person, but I met him over the phone. Lovely, lovely human being. I was absolutely devastated when he died. I remember like it was yesterday. I laid down for a nap. I woke up and Chris Jericho's tweet was on my tablet. You know, I turned the alarm on the tablet off. I looked at the tablet. Chris Jericho's tweet saying goodbye to Roddy was there. And I went, what? And it was horrible. So another death that really touched me hard was Owen Hart. Partly because I heard it happen. I heard him hit that mat. And that was just devastating. But also because I had seen Owen live, and there were fans. One girl in particular who claimed to be with Brett. I don't know if that was true or not. I think she was more likely a rat. That's my opinion. And she was horrible to Owen. And I tried to get Owen's attention, tried to tell him how much I cared about him. And after he died, I remember reading Brett's thing in the Calgary Sun and just crying. My mother said, Owen knows how you felt, honey. He knows how all his fans felt now. And so I guess it's turned into wrestlers that their deaths impacted me hard. Another one that got me was Bruiser Brody. I was 14 years old when he was murdered. And I don't care what anyone says, the man was murdered. Plain and simple. He was an incredible wrestler, and they say that Frank Goodish, the man behind the Bruiser, was a wonderful man, a good dad, a loving husband, and that's all you can strive to be, you know. So that one hit me because he was murdered, and the murderer got away with it. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Anyway. Bobby Eaton. That was tough. I also had talked to Bobby on the phone. Bobby's a sweetheart. I've talked to Jim Cornette. Also a very nice man. And very talkative, just like I am. I just remember being in stunned disbelief when I got that call from Jim Cornette. He called me back. I was like, holy crap. He was super sweet. And I got that book like that because he felt terrible. Because he had his wife Stacy go over and look. She said, oh my God, her check is buried on the desk. She got caught between the two tours that we just did. He's like, oh no. He said, I'm so sorry. And I got it right away. So, and it was personally autographed, which is nice. You know, they say personal autographs are not worth as much because they're autographed to a person. So what? They mean more to the person they're autographed to, as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah. Those hit me the hardest. You know, I was trying to brace myself for Bobby because I knew Bobby's health condition. You know, being friends with his family and stuff, I knew, you know, online and stuff, I knew his health condition. I run his, what has become his official Facebook group. But his sister is still a very big part of. His daughter, his son. They're both friends of mine on Facebook, as are two of Roddy Piper's kids. So, yeah, and Kitty, Roddy's widow. That's so hard to say, isn't it? I don't think she ever imagined that they would go to sleep one night and he wouldn't wake up, you know, especially at 61 years old. I can't even imagine that. So those are the ones that hit me the hardest. Now, back to the word association game, if you will. Christopher Daniels. One of the kindest human beings that I've ever had contact with. I mean, he sends me little DMs on Twitter, and Frankie Kazarian has replied to my tweets. Also a sweetheart. I do have some news about Frankie at the end of the video, and I will be updating Chris and Frankie's website. Link in the permalinks in the description. The Addiction fan site, because there's some exciting news for Frankie coming up. And anyway, also a sweetheart. For him, the most important thing is to be a husband and a dad. And according to Tracy, he's a hell of a dad to Rebel. So, his most important, biggest priority right there. And I know CD feels the same way about his family. Sorry. My sinuses are running down my throat. That's just the side that was bleeding. I don't think I've ever sneezed blood before. That was a unique experience, especially to do it on camera. Anyway. Let's take someone I'm not as fond of. Hulk Hogan. Hogan had charisma to spare. There's no question about that. That's how he succeeded. And became a top guy. That and the size that he had. But truthfully, I just don't like him. I just don't like him. And the funny thing was, when the Ultimate Warrior came to be and Hogan was passing the torch, yeah, as if Hogan ever passed the torch without it being ripped out of his hands forcibly. I didn't care for him either. There was no substance to the Ultimate Warrior in the ring. I'm old school when it comes to my wrestling. I want to see you actually wrestle. And the Ultimate Warrior had zero substance. His matches were over in 30 seconds, and I know that was what he was supposed to be. And I remember going to shows and having a sign up on the door, Ultimate Warrior, no showed. You know, not quite like that, but if you want your money back, go to the box office. And my father would look at me, I don't care, Dad. I'm not here to see him. You know, and that was how I felt. I know a lot of little kids were there to see the Ultimate Warrior with their little faces painted and whatever, but I was over that age, you know. I was a teenager and older when the Ultimate Warrior came out. See, when the Ultimate Warrior character came to be, it's about 1980. I was 14, 15 years old. Too old for that crap. When I was young, I liked Hulk Hogan. But I remember what turned me. WrestleMania 2. It's actually about the time I started liking Roddy Piper. WrestleMania 2. Hulk Hogan was walking to the cage. A tiny little girl, maybe 4 years old, no more than that, reached up to touch him. And he's a big man. His leg was longer than she was tall. When she reached up to touch him, she patted his bum. He gave her the meanest, dirtiest look that you could ever imagine. And I never forgot that. And that just turned me right there. How could you be so mean to a little Hulkamaniac? And meanwhile, Roddy worked his butt off to headline the New York part of the show. And the people loved it. And Roddy always said, you know, I didn't turn babyface, the people turned me babyface. And he's right. The people turned him at WrestleMania 2. I think the people were just tired of Mr. T. Not that there's anything wrong with Mr. T. I actually like Mr. T as a person. He's actually a very good man, from what I understand. He's been through cancer treatment, and I believe he's cancer-free now. It was a rare form of lymphoma, and he's a Christian, devoutly. I remember, and this is something Roddy probably didn't realize at the time, but Mr. T actually teamed with the Von Erichs. He actually had a little bit of wrestling experience before he went to the World Wrestling Federation. Down in world class. And he had boxed in, what are they called? Not strongman competitions, but can't remember the name of the boxing competition. Not Golden Gloves. Can't remember the name. But so he had some experience, but him and Roddy had their issues. The funny thing is, I don't think he holds any ill will against Roddy. I really don't. Um, so, and I think in his heart, later on, Roddy didn't have any ill will against him either, truthfully. It was just at the time they did not get along. There were a lot of things that were beyond both of their control, really. For instance, he touched Mr. T's head. You weren't supposed to touch him. Nobody told Roddy that. So there's just a lot of miscommunication along the way. And I think that they both got frustrated. But anyway. So yeah, that's what turned me off of Hulk Hogan. The Ultimate Warrior, like I said, I never really got into him because I was older. So, excuse me, it didn't matter to me. Sting. Steve Borden. Love Sting. I showed you my little email from Sting. That was so cool to get. Actually, I don't think, was that an email? Might have been a message that I printed out. Either way, it was over Prodigy when they did a special question and answer thing with Sting, and I think I asked him a lame question like, who was your toughest opponent? And he said I'd have to say Vader. Probably true. Love Sting. Love that he is another one that turned his life to Christ. So important. And I've been watching the last few nights old primetime wrestling shows. What they cut out the matches and they just put the banter between Roddy Piper, Bobby Heenan, and Gorilla Monsoon in, and they're all gone. Roddy died of heart failure in his sleep. Gorilla died of complications of diabetes, and Bobby died of cancer. It was really sad, actually. But it's fun to watch the three of them, This is from when I was about 15 years old, so I remember it, but it's fun to go back and watch. And I'll leave the link, actually, to the guy's YouTube. It's called All Out of Bubblegum. You could almost call it a Roddy Piper tribute YouTube channel. It's awesome. I've been watching it nightly. Why do I have a fly in my house in October? Oh, I know why, because it's warm today. That's okay, I'll zap it. So yeah. It's nice watching those three, and I can still remember. And it's funny watching it. I feel like I'm with my dad. Because I used to watch that with my dad. I believe that was on Sunday nights at 7, where we live. And I used to watch it with my dad. And watching it is like, my dad knew of Bobby Heenan like way before, and he would say to me, even when Bobby was in WCW, even he would say, you need to be quiet and listen to him. He knows what he's talking about. And it's funny. I can hear my father saying that when I'm sitting there watching that. Listen to Bobby, he knows what he's talking about. And watching it now, knowing the relationship behind the scenes between the three, and how close the three of them were. Because Roddy'd known Bobby since he started wrestling at, 18, 19 years old. He was not 15. Um, he started wrestling right after high school. So probably 17. Yeah, probably 17. He, oh my goodness. First worked in the AWA where Bobby was, and he met Bobby way back then as a teenager. So they grew to have a respect and a friendship and a real colleagueship, but also almost a mentorship between him and Bobby. Same thing with Gorilla Monsoon. He's known Gorilla since his early days, and he and Gorilla have been friends, colleagues, and Gorilla's been a mentor to him. So to know that and watch these, it brings a whole new perspective to what they were doing. You know what I mean? To understand the friendship that was there between the three. Because Gorilla and Bobby adored each other. They purposefully, on screen, drove each other nuts. It was an on-screen thing. Off-screen, they adored each other. And watching that just, oh my goodness, is great. And when Rick Rude died, Roddy was one of the first people to acknowledge it and pay tribute. When Gert Hennig died, Roddy played this sad song on his bagpipes on his website. Again, go to the Wayback Machine. You can find Roddy's old website, my old websites, all sorts of things. Highly recommend it. I'm glad the internet has an archive of sorts. I say archive, but it is an archive. But usually there's a reason behind why I like the guys I like. Like Chris Jericho. We share our faith. He plays the biggest jerk imaginable most of the time. But that's not anywhere near his backyard. He does kind and charitable things all the time that you just don't hear about because he didn't brag about it. He doesn't toot his own horn. And I remember a time he was pretty upset, and he used his large platform. And this not only helped his son, it probably helped others. His son is a type 1 diabetic, and he needed his new meter, but it's one of those meters that you wear all the time. And they've been waiting like weeks for the new meter because it was a new version of the meter that he had, an updated version. And they had been waiting a long time. He went on his Twitter and he said, okay, this is my kid's life. You're going to do something? I retweeted it. I know it got retweeted a zillion times. And I told everybody I could think of at the time about what had happened. I even copied it and put it on my Facebook. I was furious. I put it on my Facebook page for him. I believe I put it on my website for him. You messed with, you messed around the wrong guy, because you messed around a guy who has a following of literally millions. And you made the mistake of screwing him over and screwing him around. And when you have somebody that has millions of followers, that can hurt your business, screwing them around like that. So I would imagine that they got that in a very timely manner after that. because I'm sure that they were more than just a little bit embarrassed. So, and they should have been, quite frankly. And it's funny, AJ Styles will tell you, when he's a baby face, that's Alan. You know, for the most part, that's Alan turned up to 11, but that's Alan. When he's a bad guy, he gets to be someone else. Also shares my faith, which is one of the things that he and Chris Jericho bonded over immediately when they met in WWE that first time. And he's talked about it because someone asked him about it, about his relationship with Chris. And he said, we bonded over our faith, our shared faith. And because it doesn't matter your specific religion, although I believe Chris goes to a non-denominational church. Not sure about AJ. That was based on Chris's book, Chris's first book. I've read 3 of them so far, and they're great, and I highly recommend them. Chris is a humble guy. That's why he won't go out of his way to talk about the charitable things he does, or, you know, stuff like that. That's just not who he is. The Rock's the same way. The Rock has gone above and beyond to do things for people, for fans, for family members, like his cousin. All sorts of things. And he doesn't want the spotlight on those things. He does those things because of the man that he is, the man that Dwayne Johnson is. And that's awesome. There's a lot of videos that people have taken and put up of things that he's done that would never be known except that the people themselves put it out there. And I talked about this before. I think that's the way that people become fans of certain wrestlers. They see the real them when they meet them in person, and it's able to go onto the internet so people know who the real them is. And I think it's important both ways. When the wrestler is nice to you and you have a really awesome experience, but also when you don't have such an awesome experience. Like I did with Virgil. Ow. Oh, my nose. Ow. That nostril's got issues. Anyway, I had a horrible experience with Virgil. All I wanted him to do was sign a piece of paper, sign an autograph. Is that difficult? If I didn't pay, he wasn't interested. It's like, okay, so you want me to buy a picture? First of all, you should be willing to sign your autograph and the other independent show I had been to, I had a little program and they all signed that. I didn't have to buy pictures. I did buy a picture, however, of King Kong Bundy, and he signed it. But he was so pleasant with us, he would have signed that program, but we both wanted the picture, and we knew we did. So we brought the money for it. I didn't realize that some guys don't sign unless you buy the picture. And it's like, really? Well, I won't make that mistake again. If I go to an independent show when I know like Christopher Daniels is going to be there, I'm going to bring the money. The $25 or whatever it is to buy the picture. But I have a feeling he's the type of guy that would, if I handed him a program, would sign it anyway. You know? I would wear my Fallen Angel t-shirt, and I would just be thrilled to tears, literally. So, but yeah, that's my goal. I want to meet him so badly, or his career's over. And so, looking forward to that because I know it will happen. I'm determined. Anyway, like I said, my experience with Virgil was horrible. In fact, it was so bad. My friend and I was sitting in the front row. It was a school gym, but we were still in the front row. And during Virgil's match, he came over and he's looking dirty at us. He spat on the floor in front of us. I mean, it was disgusting. I'm sorry. Disgusting and unnecessary. Little did he know, I was sick that night. I actually ended up going outside during the show and vomiting over the rail. That's how sick I was that night. I don't remember when that was. It was before I had cancer. I just was sick that night to my stomach. I think a combination of car sickness and sinuses. And but I ran outside because I was so nauseous. Vomited over the rail. My friend ran out. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm okay, Doug. Just had to throw up. And outside was closer than finding a bathroom. So, but I don't think that would have mattered to him that particular night. Could he have been having a bad night? Possibly. I don't think so. But because I've actually posted this over at the Crap Hole from Wrestle Crap. I love Wrestle Crap. They are so much fun. The Crap Hole is their message board, by the way. Wrestle Crap is a great site. I will link it for you. I'm Midnight Express lady, I think, on there. Because I'm a huge Midnight Express fan. And you know, the more I watched and the more educated that I became in the industry, the more I liked the Midnight Express and the less I liked the Rock and Roll Express. I know that sounds weird. I was always a fan of the Rock and Roll Express, but watching now, it's like the Midnight Express had way more wrestling skill, you know? And I love pure wrestling. To me, there's nothing better. That's why a guy like Ric Flair, a guy like Ricky Steamboat, again, Jericho, Daniels, Styles, I love those guys because they can wrestle. Kazarian, which before I end this vlog, I want to tell you the exciting news for Kaz. And that is that he is getting a shot at Bound for Glory at the X Division Championship. Go, 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 Kaz! I'm really, really hoping. It'll be interesting to see the October pay-per-view for WWE, and I do need to do a preview for that and a review. It'll be interesting to see if AJ continues with his tradition that he started at Bound for Glory, and that is to wear the pink tights, well, to wear tights with some pink gloves. Actually, he wore tights with the pink ribbon and pink gloves for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's a tradition he started back in TNA. It'll be interesting to see if he continues that tradition. And nobody ever mentioned in commentary, oh, see what AJ's doing? He's wearing tights to commemorate Breast Cancer Awareness Month and pink gloves. Nobody ever mentioned it. You just knew it because you knew the pink ribbon and the pink gloves, and you knew what it was for. And just to have him do that is awesome. So I don't know if he's been touched by breast cancer in some way, or if it's just something that he does because he's in the public eye and he wants to bring attention to this month, But I love it. I have seen other guys wear the ribbon on their tights. But it was funny, the first time I saw AJ, I'm like, he actually wore pink tights with the ribbon. And I'm going, okay, pink tights, pink gloves, what's going on? And then I remembered as I'm watching it that this was Bound for Glory that I was watching. And it was October. And I said, oh, for crying out loud. I know what it is. Because he had all pink that year. But yeah, he would wear the, later on he would wear the black tights with the big pink ribbon on his thigh and the pink gloves. So it'll be interesting to see if he still does that. I think he has done it in WWE in the past. But if he still does that at this pay-per-view coming, I will let you know. But you got this, Kaz. Hashtag you got this, Kaz. Hashtag and new. And I will keep you updated on that as well. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day and God bless you. Bye-bye.